You gonna put it down? We live?
I think so. Welcome to Well Said with Kim and Vic. And look, y'all worry about your medical records. You better stay here and check out what we about to do. Okay. What we about to talk about.
Okay. Hi, guys. We want to thank you for joining us today. Today we have a special guest that's going to be joining us. Two special guests, we hope. But do you know what's in your medical records? And do you know who is investigating in your medical records? And do you know your rights when it comes down to your medical, who's able to access them and use them for whatever purpose that they need, or even to dox you in these days and times when we're fighting such crazy political adversaries. But today we're going to get that straight. We're going to bring that all live straight to your head. But right now we're going to bring you a live video, and we would like for you just to watch it.
Take a look, see the focus of our, like she said, who's getting your medical records. We're going to talk a lot about HIPAA, which is a federal regulation or federal statute about protecting your health information. So without further ado, there's Brian. Awesome. We're going to bring this to you. And we just check it out.
Your health information, your rights. Whether your health information is stored on paper or electronically, you have the right to keep it private. Those rights are protected under a law known as HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. HIPAA gives you important rights. First off, you have the right to see or get a copy of your medical records. Sometimes you might not be able to see certain parts of the full record, but you always have the right to ask. If you find a mistake in your record, you have the right to request to have it corrected. If you disagree with your doctor or health plan about certain information in your record, you have a right to submit a written statement of disagreement that will be kept with your record. You also have the right to know how your health information is used and shared. Now, your provider is allowed to share your information for certain reasons without asking you first, like when your doctors work together to determine how to best treat you sick, or to report the flu when it's in your area. But in general, your providers can't give information to an employer, for example, without your permission. And if you'd like to know who has seen your health information, you have the right to get a report. That's called an accounting of disclosures. HIPAA gives you the right to say how you want to be contacted. For example, you can tell your provider what phone number they should call to contact you and whether they can leave a message. HIPAA also gives you the right to request that your information not be shared with certain people or organizations. All these rights are spelled out in the Notice of Privacy Practices, which is usually given or posted at your doctor's office or hospital. Be sure to read this notice carefully. It lets you know exactly how your information will be used and shared and how your rights are being protected. And lastly, if you think any of these rights are violated, you have the right to file a complaint. We're serious about working with you to protect your health information. Know your rights. To get started, just visit the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office for Civil Rights at hhs.gov/OC.
All right, guys. So you saw that little video. We're going to be getting into that because you know what, Kim? Being that you are an insurance agent,
the HIPAA security rule.
I'm sorry, guys, if we're
you may be hearing some more background, but we got you.
We got you. I'm sorry. Remember when we just the other day when I was I got an insurance policy, increased it, and there were some questions that was alarming to me because I had to get blood work.
Right.
You told me I had to get blood work.
Right.
And I asked some questions of Kim because I was ignorant. I didn't know. And when I said to her, I says, well, who got my records before I got my records?
Right.
And tell them what you had to tell me about. Well, she had to school me.
I gave her a little bit of a smart answer. I told them they paid for the evaluation. So the insurance company and insurance companies can have access to your records as long as you give them authorization.
Yeah.
So during the application process, she did sign an authorization form that allowed them to get access to their records. And as you saw in the video we just saw, like she explained, that there are some instances where you don't have to give authorization, like where if it's your doctor and they need to consult with other medical professionals for your treatment. But for the most part, under the HIPAA laws, you have to give permission for anybody to access your records.
And the thing about it is that now that we're in these crazy times politically, what we're seeing is a large increase of people being doxxed. And they're taking their records and they're exposing them to the world. They're letting them know where they live. They may even put out your condition, or if you were sick, where your family lives, your next to kin. That can be very alarming as well. But because Kim is an insurance agent and I had to be a smart girl back, I says, well, I have my own insurance. I don't need them to do that. They can call my doctor. So we went up and she had to school me a little bit about it. But I still love her because, you know, she's good at what she does. She knows the field about insurance and she knows what best policy for you to take for, you know, you going forward and for you benefiting at the end. So with no longer ado, what's going to happen, Kim? We're going to bring on our new guest today.
Our new friend.
And this is Brian. Brian is the president of
Brian.
And Brian is going to be we're going to be discussing with Brian some of the issues that he has faced within the last, 3 years, Brian? With this situation.
It's at 4 years right now.
About 4 years, yeah.
Okay.
And his situation, he'll tell you a little bit more about it, but, you know, based on what we just showed you about the HIPAA regulations, the laws that protect your private health information, and how that information can be legally disclosed when there's a infraction or somebody, you know, gets access to your medical records without your authorizations. There are definitely legal ramifications and implications about that. So we brought Brian on so he can share with us his story, his own personal story about what happened to him. So Brian, we're just going to kind of give you the floor, let you kind of explain your situation. And then I know me and Vic, you know, probably got some questions to ask you about what happened with you. So go ahead and please let us share your story.
The whole entire thing. Don't hold back. I know there are going to be some bombs dropped, and I may even slip and say a few.
And Cindy's with us. Hey, Cindy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate your support. All right, Brian, let us have it.
All right. Well, I'll try not to drop the F-bomb, but
we all grown. Look, this stream is not for children. We already marked it not for children. So you're good.
Well, my story, can y'all hear me all right? Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. My story started in 2017 when I wanted to enter a float in the Charlotte Gay Pride Parade to honor President Trump. And because I am a gay Republican and I also stand for gay rights as well. But I made national news because I became the first gay person in the United States to be kicked out of a pride celebration for political reasons. And basically it was because I was supporting it's basically because I was supporting President Trump. Because of that national exposure, I came on the radar of a lot of Antifa groups, and especially the ones here in Charlotte, and especially became on the radar of a guy named Andrew Woods, which was a leader of, you know, to get these movements started and everything. But how this had started, I was at a March for Life rally, and Andrew, you know, these people follow deplorable pride. Hold on one second, my laptop is about battery is going low. Sorry about that. We were at a March for Life rally, which we called it Stand for Life. It was at the anniversary of Roe versus Wade. And Andrew hollered across the street at me. He said I had some pretty interesting medical history. And I just thought he was, like, you know, trying to make a threat. He's known for his useless, you know, baseless threats and everything. But it took me almost 2 years to find out. I came across his wife's TikTok videos because I follow these people. As nauseating as it is, I follow these people to know what their plans are, who they're targeting, so I can let these other people know
Mhm.
that they're being targeted or whatever. And I came across her TikTok page, and looking through her videos, I saw that she was making videos at her workplace, which happened to be at Atrium Health. And because she had the Atrium Health logo in the background, she was in her scrubs. She had her name badge on and everything. So I zeroed in on her name badge, and I saw that it said Levine Cancer Institute. And I was also a patient at Levine Cancer. I wasn't currently at the time when I found it, but I had been a patient at Levine. And I was like, that's just too much of a coincidence. So I contacted Atrium Healthcare, their corporate privacy, and I explained my situation, how my interaction. I've never met this girl before. I just know her husband, and I asked for an audit. Yeah, I asked for an audit of my records on February 19th, and on February 22nd, they got back with me and told me that my records had been breached. And I received a letter on March 8th that confirmed everything, and it showed a total of 4 times, three in 2019, and January, March, and in August of 2019, she had breached my records. And as recently as uh, February of 2021, just 2 weeks after I had requested the audit of my records, she had breached them then as well. And these people have been to my home. They have caused thousands of dollars worth of damage at my home. They have sliced the tires of 3 vehicles. I apologize for my dog.
That's okay.
But they have sliced the tires of 3 vehicles. They busted out my windshield. They've targeted me specifically because, one, because I'm a gay Republican. That, you see all these Antifa crap going on across the nation. You always see rainbow flags and everything. And there's a lot in the LGBT community that are that are ignorant. That's as nice as word as I can use.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like they're blindsided. I mean, they're blinded by these Antifa people are there waiting for these young gay people at the vulnerable time in their lives when they're coming out and everything and looking for acceptance. And these Antifa people take advantage of that. And that's why you see a lot of the rainbow flags. And I'm supposed to be on, according to them, on with them. And I strongly stand against them. And because of that, I become their enemy. And here in Charlotte, I become their public enemy #1. And, that's basically right now my story. It's taken me 2 years to find enough proof to actually bring some serious charges against these people that have tormented my life for 4 years. So,
let me ask you, Brian,
yes.
what help have you gotten, legal help have you received since you found out all of this information about your records being breached? What steps have you taken legally to try to
legally, I did seek an attorney. I did seek out several attorneys. A lot of things. It gets really confusing with HIPAA. And but I did, as far as like legal wise, I filed a complaint with HIPAA. I filed with the Department of Civil Rights and Homeland whatever it is, Health and Human Services.
HSS.
Yes, I did contact the CMPD regarding this. Regarding this being a federal crime, I had to contact the FBI. The FBI is the ones that their request is why I did the HIPAA complaint. I'm violation. I'm still waiting on an answer from the HIPAA thing. You know, I
What
guess
about the legislators in your area? What about have you and I'm hoping that the reason why I'm doing this is because I am hoping that our governor, our lieutenant governor, our legislators in this particular county, Stanley County, I'm calling on call Ford to get involved with this. I'm calling on Wayne Sasser. I will also reach out to Wayne Sasser. I will share this with Wayne Sasser because this is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to team up with their community. And when you get that strong backing, it helps push it to the forefront. You people that's on here tonight, this afternoon, share this video, because this is something that all of us need to be aware of. We need to be aware of who's able to see our records. Both of my mom and my sister were registered nurses. My mom was in the 70s and 80s. My sister was in the 80s, and she's currently. At the time, you couldn't mum a word about someone's records.
Yeah.
You would lose your job if you would even speak to another patient on next to the same bed as the patient that you are in care of. It has become so lax that this is totally being doxed.
I do want to say, as far as like my elected officials that are have reached out or whatnot, my U.S. Representative Richard Hudson, his office is currently they have been in contact with me, and they are they're gonna. I'm signing a privacy thing with them. They're going to follow this HIPAA violation to a conclusion, and they're going to make sure that it is taken serious, is not swept under a rug.
Yes.
I was Dan Bishop. I spoke with him personally. As far as his office is willing to help, also, even though he's not my representative, he is willing to help as well to see that this it's just not swept under a rug. I do appreciate. I do want every one of my elected officials in North Carolina to get involved. We can expect. I know Mark Robinson would be involved with this. We all know that Kami Cooper is not going to be involved, and are concerned with anything, especially he'll be out there championing for gay rights and everything until it comes down to a gay Trump supporter. So I'm not expecting that. I'm not expecting that piece of shit Kami to do a damn thing.
Well, and that's the reason why I didn't even mention him. I'm mentioning people that are, because you see, it's on a conservative front. And so because it's on a conservative front, I am looking for those conservatives who say that they are conservatives and they are for the community and what is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is what our Bill of Rights says. That's your right. Your right is to live in peace, safety, and those people that attacked your home, you're supposed to live in a safe environment. That's our right.
I need conservatives to understand one thing. I mean, some people may have an issue with the gay issue, but I wasn't targeted because I was gay. I was targeted because I was I'm a proud American. These Antifa people have described me as an ultra nationalist. I wear that as a badge of honor. I am a proud nationalist. I will never denounce. I'd rather die on my feet as a proud American than ever submit on my knees to this piece
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes.
These pieces of shit. Target. So not being targeted is exactly why they will target you. If you're a proud American, you are a target. And I want this story to get out because there are more people that I don't even know that are possibly victims. If they've had run-ins with Andrew Woods, then and they need to know it. They need to ask for an audit. I came across an Instagram post where Andrew had posted the name and address and phone number of a pro-life Christian who his ministry goes out to the abortion clinics and has, they pray for the women that are going in to have abortions. And that's what his ministry does. And that's where Andrew Woods and him first had interaction. I've always been on the political front with Andrew, and this guy came onto like the pro-life, front. And because I came across one of his Instagram posts that had a handwritten thing that said, his name, address, and phone number. And then underneath it, it had in big bold letters, "Kill him." And I came across this around, I guess, 10 o'clock at night, I guess. And I contacted this guy, and he probably thought I was crazy, because but he had a right to know, and he had a right to know right then. And
so he can protect himself. That's right.
Yes, I wanted him to be able to. I know how dangerous this guy Andrew is, and if this is got the big caption of "kill him," this man needed to know, regardless of what time. So, but I asked him, was he also a patient at Atrium? And just so it turns out that he was. And I told him, I said, well, first thing in the morning, ASAP, call Atrium and call the corporate. I provided him all the information, and I said, if they already have your name and your phone number, this is more than likely how they got that information. And sure enough, he called Atrium that morning. He emailed them a screenshot of the threat to kill him that I provided him, and they did a quick investigation because of that threat. And it turned out later that afternoon that he was also he was the second victim of this woman and the Atrium breach. We don't know how many times he was breached. We just we'll see that in the letter with it, but as of this moment, it is at least once.
Okay, let me ask you, the young lady is no longer working with Atrium, am I correct?
No, she was fired. According to, I believe his name is Chris Berger, Headline USA did a really in-depth article about it, and they contacted Atrium Health. And according to their spokesperson, that she was fired. And I assume she was fired the day that the investigation ended, which was February 22nd.
Has any charges been brought against her? Has she served any time? Is she serving any time?
No, she is not. There's no, as far as I know, there's no criminal charges been filed yet, but there have, the investigations are open. I guess, the wheels of justice, we all know they suck. To file these types of charges, because every time she breached a medical record, it was a felony. So we know of at least 5 at the moment. And to file I'm just assuming that in order to file criminal federal charges against someone, they're going to have to do their own investigation and not be able to rely on just the findings of Atrium Health. Atrium Health's findings were good enough for the firing, but they're not going to be good enough for the criminal charges. They're going to have to do their own investigation.
And would you be able to say which Atrium Health hospital this happened at? Was it something here in your county, or was it something in?
She worked. It was all under the umbrella Atrium Health, but she did referrals at Atrium. I mean, she did referrals at Levine Cancer Institute in Charlotte, and I was a patient at Levine Cancer Institute in Albemarle.
Okay. Well, just to make up something clear so people can understand the healthcare system, because she's part of Atrium Health, any Atrium Health, whether she actually works physically at that building, she does have access to medical records. Yes. If she has and if she's a healthcare worker, like at a nursing level or, a provider level, they have access to, but just like you were able to learn is that you can see, because of nowadays the technology. See, before they could just go in a drawer and look and nobody would never know. But with technology now, you can't access people's protected health information.
That's another thing that's really disturbing to me is, we all know that Atrium Health is like the largest or one of the largest healthcare providers in North Carolina, probably in the South. But there they had the they had the safeguards and stuff in place to go in and track her footprint and be able to find how many times she did
digital
something.
footprint. That's
But
right.
but they did not have the safeguards in place to prevent an employee to make that many accesses to files that they had no business being in, and to be able to do that over the course of that many years. This has been going on since 2019. Who knows how long she's worked there? And who knows if I'm victim number one? There may have been someone before me. She may have worked there before me, but for her to have been able to do this for so long is alarming. And
you brought up a good point, though, Brian. And I accidentally called you Andrew because it's funny. Cause I don't know if you know April. And I don't know if you can see. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can see the chat, but April Ledbetter, she's out here and giving you a lot of shout outs and stuff like that. She's awesome. But
I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read anything. So.
Yeah. She agreed, especially when I was talking about how people can have access to, but you bring up an excellent point. Mm-hmm. Each industry or each healthcare provider has the responsibility to protect your record. Yeah. So having said that, there could be some liability on Atrium's part. That, they're sweeping it under the rug and they got rid of her thinking that's going to get rid of the problem. Yeah. But if they didn't take the necessary precautions to protect your medical records, then they could have some liability here as well, because in the video that we just played that came from HHS, which is the Health and Human Services .gov, they had a video that talks about that very thing, is that the healthcare providers have a responsibility to protect your records from being accessed like they did. So there may be some liability. You may want to talk to your attorney about it.
What you're saying,
Atrium's part.
Because just a minute, Brian, because if you look at it, when you go to a blood center, if you go to like a LabCorp or whatever like that, if your records are breached, then normally, because all of your information, so if you pay by a debit card, all of your information is now out there. Yeah. So what they tend to do to rectify it, to keep them from being really, the law coming fully down on them, they usually give you a package between 2 to 4 years on Expedia, anything to some type of, to cover your credit.
Yeah.
That's why they give it to you, because someone had access to your social security number or something like that for a period of time, and they breached the whole entire file for a particular period of time, and to keep you safe for other people using your identity to obtain whatever they usually give you is Expedia. What is it? Expedia, TransUnion, and they usually give you all three to cover you for
Experian, TransUnion, and it's another one.
Usually 3 years, so that no one can,
steal your
information,
or open up credit. And that's all part of HIPAA now too, Brian. That like there's personally identifiable information. It's not always health information, things like your social security number, your address and stuff like that. That stuff is protected unless you make it public, right? So if you're out there putting your address out there and stuff like that, it's not. But if you're keeping it protected, hopefully,
I think their main reason of obtaining my records was to find out where I lived. And it's kind of strange. The timeline is a little warped. They came to my house exactly 7 days before the very first breach of my records, and exactly 3 days after Andrew Woods told me that he knew my medical history. But I think he also wanted to know, possibly know the comings and goings from my doctor's appointments, knowing when I would be at a certain location.
Okay,
because I can't understand. She could have got all my. She could have got all of my necessary information in that very first breach.
Right.
She found out my home address, my phone numbers, my contacts, everything. But she did it 4 more times.
Yes.
And that's why I think they were looking for my doctor's appointments and where I would be at certain times.
Wow.
Isn't that scary?
And then April just said, and she's right. April was talking about you can request audits be done on your personal charts. And I think you did that. Another thing that I saw in the video that we watched from HHS is that you have a right to know. You can ask who, and I know me and you talked about this yesterday, Brian, when we were, preparing for this, and you said that they wouldn't tell you initially who had accessed your records or who had looked at them.
Well, they would not mention her by name. They told me according to HIPAA laws, because HIPAA laws also protect the healthcare worker as much as they protect the patient. But they just always refer to her as the employee. But I knew who we were referring to because that's who I made the complaint against.
Yeah,
and that's who they tracked. Otherwise, they'd have had no other idea. So
exactly. How did they know it was that particular employee?
And plus, they were also not allowed to tell me, and they still haven't told me. They were allowed to tell the media, but they weren't even allowed to tell me what punishment was taken. They were just told me that the appropriate punishment had been taken.
And this is the reason why we need our legislator, we need our senators from this area here to write letters or write a letter on your behalf. I will also reach out to them, Brian, on your behalf. I have a good relationship with them, and I will ask that they will do that. I will also share this video with them going forward so that they can kind of get a whole all over view of what we're saying, because it's just not you. It's every conservative American. And those conservative.
When people are, I think something that needs to be looked at also is that, I mean, I understand people's requirements of jobs and everything, but this woman was able to walk in off the street, not be licensed from the state, and have access to all of that valuable and personal data from millions of people at her disposal. And it, there needs to have her to have that access, to have some type of certification license, something within the state.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
That's on Atrium, though. Atrium didn't take the required precautions. How can you give a low-level employee, whatever the case may be, a low-level employee have access to that stuff? And especially now, because you got to think about it. And this was addressed in the regulations back in, they, updated the regulations. So when we started getting to the information age and medical records went to electronic records. So that there are ways that you can, unless somebody's a hacker, right? Because, hackers going to get whatever they're going to get. But if you're a low level, everyday, person that just works and don't have a lot of computer savvy, then the Atrium should have things in place, protections in place where nobody can just access those records.
Wait a minute, but the government does, the military does. If you don't have top security clearance, you don't have that swipe to get into after a certain, it's like they say, it's past my pay grade. Okay, that means you have to go. It's just
a certain level, right? You have clearances, and she obviously,
they gave her too much.
She may have too much clearance. And then you give people that kind of power and access to people's information, and they do just what they did to you, especially when they're not righteous. When they're not.
It all came at the direction of her husband. There's no doubt of who sent out the order to find out the information. I mean, like I said, I've never had a run-in with this woman before in my life, but I've had many encounters with her husband, and for him to use her position, her position to at the orders of him is a very scary thing.
Yes.
This man targets anyone who is conservative. He doesn't like white people. He doesn't like conservatives. He doesn't like Republicans, and he especially hates Trump supporters. And we've talked about Atrium's liability and everything, but
is he melanated, Brian?
No, he's not melanated, and he's married to a white woman. Oops, did I say that?
And he's married to a white woman. But it's like Atrium's liability.
Is
The
he
lot
melanated? No, I
No.
don't. He's not a
He's a-
black man.
He's a black man. Yeah.
He's a
Okay,
black
he is.
man.
That's what I mean by melanated. He's melanated, so he's melanated. So,
But
and he
it's,
hates white people, and he's married to a
Yeah.
white.
yeah, but it was like
These
Adrian.
people are such a
Adrian.
big contradiction. They're walking hypocrites and walking contradictions.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
can't even reconcile that in his mind.
Was-
If he
well,
hates white people,
I-
he's married to a white
I
woman.
think
It's
she-
crazy.
I think it's more like that she's a pathetic excuse that she would allow herself to be married to a man that thinks she is less than human.
Yes.
That takes that's
How do
the
you
kind of
think
mind
about it?
that's the kind of mindset of a person that would think it was all right to access my medical records and commit felonies against
There
me.
you go.
You know,
Yeah,
And not just yours. How many others? There probably is hundreds of others there. And
That's
the thing
the
about
main. That's the main reason I came forward with all this. It wasn't the atrium thing. I didn't, my main thing was not thinking about suing anyone. My main thing was like, I know there are more victims out there besides me and this other gentleman.
It's
And
probably-
I didn't even know this gentleman. I've never talked to him, heard his name or anything. I contacted the people that I personally knew. And he was a person I didn't know. So that's the reason I came forward with all this, is because hopefully people are going to hear this story. Can't get local news to report on it. And WSOC is really the only channel that has reached out, but they've been dragging their feet for 10 days trying to report this story. And the most important thing is getting this out so other people can possibly know they're a victim.
And that's the reason why I brought you on, because I knew the importance of your story. How many other people are being doxxed because of their political view? And that should not even come into play. These people are targeting conservatives. You know, they're targeting us. There's a target on our backs.
I want the local people in this local area. When I say local, I mean Mecklenburg, Gaston County, Cabarrus, Stanley, the local area, to really research Andrew Woods. I want people to know exactly who this man is, because this is if you are a conservative who supported President Trump, this man will do anything. There's nothing that he's not capable of. And the people need to research exactly what he said, and things that he has said, things that his arrest records. People need to know what kind of danger is walking around on our streets.
And the thing about it is, they were able to find those who stormed the Capitol. Okay,
but they can't find this guy.
They can't find the people who breached your records.
Yeah,
and they can't find the right
or won't. It's more wants. Yeah.
But I'm being politically okay. So so this is what I'm saying. It's just basically just pushing this video out, please. April, everybody share this video, because it is important.
Paige, yes.
It is important because you know what? If you are a conservative, I'm a conservative. I am very active in my community. That I'm a Black woman. Brian, let me tell you something. When I had my signs out in front of my house, my mailbox was, I went away for a weekend. I came back, my mailbox was demolished. Someone had just basically took a bat to my mailbox. And this is during the time with President Trump. They were leaving notes in people's mailboxes, conservatives, about their choice in candidates that they were voting for. Nothing was done about that. It's just, it is becoming, it's a crisis. Even though
most important thing of this, though, is none of us can ever back down. Never once shall we back down to these people, because that is the reason Antifa, that's the reason Andrew Woods, I've watched him for 4 years. I've watched him grow, progressively getting worse, progressively getting even more violent. It's because no one stands up to this.
Exactly.
No one stands up to
people are quiet, evil can grow. Absolutely.
And see, go ahead, Brian.
It's like the Republicans. I've warned these people, and I've warned MEC GOP, and I'm going to call his name out because he's been the worst leader of the Mecklenburg Republican Party is Chris Turner.
Turner.
I went to this man for 3 freaking years trying to warn him, not only that Andrew Woods hated Republicans, but Andrew Woods was targeting the Republicans of Mecklenburg County. And I could not once did Chris Turner address this with anyone with inside the MEC GOP. And I warned them, and no one knew, because as this man continually got worse and worse. And I finally had to start calling out the Mecklenburg Republican Party for putting Mecklenburg Republicans in danger.
At risk, yes.
If you're not letting the people that you claim that you're representing know the danger that's walking around against, and this is how close it came. This is why I really call out the Mecklenburg GOP. The Mecklenburg GOP used to hold functions at Divine Barrel Brewery in Noda. This is the exact same location that Andrew Woods was a bartender at, the same man that called for brutal harm to be done to all white Republicans in Mecklenburg County. This is the man that would be making your drinks while you were there for the neighborhood Republican gathering.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I got him fired from that job for those comments. I also followed him to his next job and got him fired from that one as well.
In Cleveland.
April said not just Mecklenburg, but Cleveland County too.
Oh, that's where he is now. He's in Cleveland.
That's where he is now. That's where he is now.
Wow.
You know, but this is how Republicans in leadership putting their heads in the sand when someone's trying to warn them about something, how close they came to that danger, that they would schedule an event at the very restaurant that this terrorist, and that's exactly what he is, at the very restaurant that this terrorist was going to be making their drinks for them. That's how stupid their mentality was. And that's why I felt I called him out by name. You know, Chris Turner, he's the worst Mecklenburg County leader we've ever had.
You know, we got a new one in MEC now. We got a new head of the GOP.
She is nothing but the mirror image of Chris Turner. Sarah Reedy Jones is just as ineffective as she was the vice chair under him all these years. It's not like Sarah was sitting in the back room. Sarah was the vice chair while all this warning was happening. She chose to put her head in the sand just like Chris Turner did. And Mecklenburg, under both of I'm getting a little political right now, but under Mecklenburg County,
some game, bro.
In Mecklenburg County, under Chris Turner and Sarah Reedy Jones, we lost every national, state, and local Republican-held office under their watch. But yet everyone continued to vote for them under fake promises of a new office, you know. And, you know, I guess Mecklenburg Republicans are not tired of losing just yet because they voted for her.
Let me interject there, Brian. And this is the very reason why my conclusion to all of this is that sometimes you just can't continue to vote what you know. You have to vote what the person is willing to do for the community, because you see what it comes with perks. Come on, you people. Let's put it down straight. It comes with perks. It comes with connections and this and that. And you know what? People lose focus on, why am I here? I am here to protect the party, because see, you are a gatekeeper. You are a gatekeeper for the Republican Party. That's your job when you.
Well, the chairman of a party is their main job is to be raising money for these candidates that we are going to try to run in elections. And under Chris Turner and Sarah Reedy Jones, zero. That's the amount of fundraising they do for candidates, local candidates. My organization, Deplorable Pride, went out here and gave 3-hour-long commercials on the side of the road for these local candidates that received zero support from the Mecklenburg County GOP office. You know, these are people running in Mecklenburg County for state office, and they cannot even get the support from the Mecklenburg GOP.
You're right about that. I witnessed that this last election.
That's what people can expect under Sarah Reedy Jones. I don't know. You know, I don't know how we got onto that subject, but you know, I'll tell you once
We
that
call
name
it,
comes
look,
up,
we
once
call
that
it
name
safe
comes
space
up,
here. Like, look, I love it. You
once
bringing a lot of energy, baby. I'm loving it.
once that name comes up, I'm going to speak truth.
Okay.
Listen, Brian. I hear what you're saying, because I think it's very important as we going forward that we are electing people into office that's going to work for the people,
Right.
not for yourself. The people, the community, and this is what Trump brought a big base. A big base of those people, even the Walmarts. These are not our people that we're talking that shop at Nordstrom's.
Right.
We're not talking about these people that work at
That's right.
The smelly Walmart.
Saks. We're not talking
Right,
about these
smelly Walmart, right? Remember that?
These are the people
Me too.
that came out for Trump. These everyday Joe Schmo
Americans. That's right.
This is what, and see, this is what these political people got to get. If you're not working for the smelly Walmart people, you don't have a seat. And you know what? It's going to take more than your verbiage to convince Americans, conservative Americans, everyday Joe Schmoes, that you are the man for the job. Because you know what? You have been shoveling, you know what? And we've bought it. And look what's up in the White House right now, okay? Right now, because of you shoveling that stuff that we bought. But you see, the people are tired. The people want to make sure that the candidates that they're putting into office is going to work for the people. Go ahead, Kim, because I can say more about that, but I won't.
No, I appreciate you bringing, information that I think is critical, not only from the aspect of, HIPAA violations and stuff, and our elected officials or the people who are saying that they're representing us. So any information that we can get that's pertinent to that, I'm with it. This channel is called Seeking Educational Excellence. We're looking to be educated about what's going on and not only in K through 12 education, but just general public education, period. And a lot of us don't know the basics and stuff. Your case in particular, especially, I even learned something new just talking to you about this, about HIPAA, even though I've been in the insurance industry and health insurance. That's where it all started, and where they were trying to protect health information and stuff. And so the things that I'm learning now, even with you and doing some of my research, is that this information is protected. But what we're learning with your case, Brian, is that it depends on what your political affiliation is. And it depends on, because we know that on the other side, that they don't care about, they claim to care about LGBTQ rights, about minority rights and things like that. Only if you think a certain type of way. If you don't think the way that they think, then you become public enemy number one. That shows how disingenuous they are with what they're saying. And that's what my grandma used to say. Look at what they do, not what they say. So go ahead, Brian. What you going to say?
That's like the Charlotte Pride Parade. Let me tell you what I've been committed to gay rights and everything. In 1994, I marched in the very first gay pride parade in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I did that when the streets were lined with nothing but protesters. I mean, people that threw bottles at me, spit at me, but that was when I was marching that I have a right to live, a right to have a place to live, a right to have a job, a right to provide for myself. That's what I was marching for. But now it's turned into a party in Charlotte that brings in 160. That is Charlotte's largest parade.
Wow.
And the gay community has become the oppressors that we once stood against. We all used to stand against the very people that the gay community is representing right now.
Yes.
Because we've gotten to a point to where I get kicked out for being a gay Republican who supports President Trump. But I can't have a float or whatever. But the president and the Charlotte LGBT Chamber of Commerce is allowed to participate. and their president, Chad Turner, is a convicted child predator
Oh
who was
my
put on
gosh.
who was put on the sex offender registry of North Carolina for 10
Yeah.
years. He just got off a couple of months ago, but the point is that
He was
they,
on it.
they made him step down as president, but then once he came off the sex offender registry, they elected him again as president, and that is someone that they celebrate walking down the road and the parade. But me, as a gay Republican, I'm called a white supremacist and a Nazi.
You know what, too, though, Brian, in especially in your defense of it's so funny how when you have somebody like you who is your rights, you want the right to liberty, the pursuit of happiness, the basic rights that's promised to everybody.
Right.
And I hate to say this because I have my son is gay too, that just like within the Black community, the rights that you're fighting on have been hijacked by an extremist group. And I've seen some of the gay pride parades, and some of them are flat out pornographic.
Yes.
It don't have nothing to do with gay rights.
No.
It has everything to do with being brazenly, openly, just sexual in front of small kids, exposing themselves. And the thing that I say about that is unfortunate, because there are people like you who just want to be left alone and be allowed to have basic human rights like everybody else. And then you get these extreme.
They say that these gay pride parades are non-political. And when I was first kicked out in 2017, their excuse was that they have denied access to other groups in the past for taking political stances and everything, and they want to remain non-political. But I promise you one thing. All you got to do is stand there at the Gay Pride Parade in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you will see nothing but Democrat candidates having floats. You'll see the Democrat Party having a float. 2 years ago, Mayor Vi Lyles, Democrat, we call her Lion Lyles, she's up there. She's the grand marshal of the parade, and it's all Democrat. But I also do throw the blame on the Republican Party as well, because when I first came out at 8, well, I was younger than 18, but when I became voting age, I was a liberal Democrat, and the reason that I was is because every night you would see the Democrat Party coming to the gay bars at 12:30 at night, and they'd be signing up people, telling them that the Republicans were out to get us. They were going to put us in concentration camps. That's been a lie for a long time. But they're gonna take all our rights away. And as a young teenager, here I am buying this because I don't see a Republican out there disputing it.
Yes.
So I proudly signed up as a Democrat. It took till 1994 that I actually woke up and realized that I've been lied to. I got tired of giving my vote, and every 2 years waiting for those promises to happen, and nothing ever coming from it.
Thank you, Brian. I was with you. Victoria's always been conservative. I was the same way as a Black female. I was liberal. I always believed that what the Democrats were saying, that they were going to, and it took me to 2000. I was 40 years old before I finally woke up. So, and then we had Molly on here saying that she supports the older LGBT community. This new age LGBT is hurting the older people's hard work. So all the hard work.
They do not know what fight we fought. Here they are being able to walk down the street and hold their partner's hand. And they're only able to do that because of old gay men like me. Because I would have been shot in the streets of Charlotte back in as late as the 90s. I would, The reason there's a celebration. The reason there's a celebration in Uptown Charlotte that brings in 160,000 people is brought to you by the sweat of the older gay community like me.
Yes.
Yeah, but the thing about it, Brian,
who are sensible.
And now I get kicked out of that same community.
Yes.
But the thing about it is, Brian, you're always truthful. When you're wrong, you always tell me, Victoria, I was wrong. But the thing about it is, you have an honest heart for the party.
Yes.
And this is what I'm talking about. And since we're here in our county, my thing is us doing some work on reaching out to younger, if those that's in the LGBTQ community. The reason why I'm saying this, because if you don't attract them to the things of truth, of historical truth, they will be taken by the Democrat Party and continually taught lies about the history and about the Republican Party towards the LGBTQ.
There is
community.
no reason in this world why a minority should belong to the Democrat Party.
I don't know why.
The only party that has a proven track record is that's standing with minorities is the Republican Party. The Republican Party freed the slaves.
Yes.
We also gave the Republican Party also gave freed slaves the right to vote. We gave them citizenship. We gave women the right to vote. We were responsible for the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
That's right.
We also got rid of the "don't ask, don't tell" policy, which every liberal gave bought hook, line, and sinker as some type of accomplishment. It wasn't. It was also told to go on and just shut up and don't tell anybody who you are. That's exactly what it did. We got Republicans are the only party that stood with every minority.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this too when there was the shooting in Florida during the 2016 election.
Yeah.
Trump was the only one who spoke up for the gay Americans.
Yes.
That's why I try to tell people that president wasn't. He was pro-America. He didn't care if you was gay, black, white, stray, rich, poor. He's for Americans.
There was no switch, Molly.
Look, there's no secret of my
which is the lie. That's what she said.
About Islam. I'm not in favor of Islam, so I'm going to just say that. But President Trump said, I'm keeping out the people that want to murder me for being gay. He is keeping Islam and LGBT, the biggest oxymoron and the stupidest person you'll ever see is a queer standing out on the side of the road with a sign supporting Islam. That is the stupidest person you will ever come across in your life.
And neither does communism. Communism don't support it either because they will have them hanging right over a tree somewhere because they don't believe in that. I'm not
gonna sit down and break bread with anybody who calls for me to be beheaded, burned alive, or thrown off a building.
Or thrown off a roof. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, wow.
Right. We love it.
They call me an Islamophobe for saying that, but I'm an Islamoreal. I know what these people are. I don't fear them. I know what they are.
Islam for real. I love it. Look, and you know what though? There's a lot to be said. You have to recognize those who hate you. That's why I say I am not interested in unifying with the progressives and those on the far left because of what I believe and because I don't fit the narrative. I'm a black female who's conservative. They want to do me harm.
Yeah.
I don't want your olive branch. I don't want your let's unify because I know behind you got the one hand out, you got a knife behind your back.
Yeah, exactly. It's no unification.
This is defeat these people, not unify with them because with the way that they believe, just like you say, if you shake a hand with a Muslim who you know hates gay people, then shame on you because you should know better.
Just like all the Germans that were silent back in World War II. You know, that's why all the Jews died because of the silence.
Yes. But you know what the thing about it is, once again, America stayed silent during that time as well.
We did.
The media stayed silent, just like they're doing now. Yeah. They stay silent because the media has a big part in what people are educated on and how much they know. So if they can keep you from knowing, and if you're not the type of person like you, Brian, myself, and Kim, and some of the people that's on the feed here, look for the information, not going to just settle for just for one person. No, because I'm the type of person, you said I'm gonna go and research it and I'm gonna see what you said, if it's true or false. You don't, this day and time, we don't have that. We have been taken over by technology. We have been taken over by television.
Right.
It is too easy to just Google on Wikipedia instead of going in and getting a book and actually opening it, cracking that book and actually doing research. We are not teaching our children how to do research, how to do
and be critical
critical thinking,
yes.
like we're trying to teach people now. It's crazy.
That's why I've always said it is very important for us minorities, all minority conservatives, to speak out, because we are, according to the left and what they're preached to those people, we're a myth.
Yes,
so
exactly.
It is important for us. We've got to be the loudest. We've got to be the loudest.
Or as we were with Mark Robinson last night, Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina. He talked about that they look at us like we're the extremists, and we're not. It's them.
Yeah,
and that's
they've got a black man as a KKK member. You know, I mean, it's like the left will not give praise where praise is due, because this was an historic win. He's our first black lieutenant governor in North Carolina history. And after being controlled by the Democrats for over 100 years in North Carolina, that is a great accomplishment for the Republican Party. And
mark the wrong color.
But Rush said the same thing. I was listening to Rush Limbaugh on Monday, and what he said about the Democrat Party and their white supremacy and their ideology about the white supremacy came out of the Democrat Party.
Right. That's white supremacy.
Flag, that Confederate flag, that's their flag. The Democrat Party. That's
all
their
these statues.
Realize that.
Which kind of look like a swastika if you really look at it.
That's what it is. Yeah.
All these statues they're tearing down are all these statues that they're opposing are Democrats. So I mean, you know, it's like
it's the irony of it. They don't even realize it.
But you know what? It's the irony of it. But you got to remember, they take it out of you, but they take it out of you.
I think they're being very smart. They're trying to erase their past.
That's what I was getting ready.
Nothing to show anymore, because they've already rewritten history in our education. And that's one good thing about Mark Robinson is that I greatly admire. Right after the stand-up Second Amendment, is that he's bringing attention to this indoctrination that we have going on with our schools. People do not. Back to the Antifa issue. People do not realize how bad and Antifa is implanted just inside the UNC North Carolina system. There are UNC Chapel Hill and Asheville are two of the worst, but in Chapel Hill, we have associate professors who are openly on social media, Twitter and Facebook and these social media sites who are openly promoting these Antifa ideas. And these are people who are teaching, that people are paying money for their children to go and be indoctrinated from.
But you know what? The thing about it is where we fall short as the Republican Party is we have a university, right, that just opened near me. And my idea is I want to get into there. I want to get into the school to see if there's a club for the Republican Party. Inside, these are the things that you have to jump on, because let me tell you something. Trust me, there is a club for the Democrat Party at that university already. Most definitely.
At every university.
You know it
definitely.
already.
No doubt about that.
Well, Brian, we love you guys. Man, this was awesome. Hour goes by fast when you're having good. And I just want to mention something right quick.
Has it been an hour?
Yes, a little over. Molly actually mentioned, because you know how we are, you know, if you're a conservative, most of the time we're pro-capitalism, right? Mm-hmm. Free speech, free market, and all that kind of stuff. But Molly says she follows a prepper on YouTube, and he mentioned that the left doesn't want to get rid of capitalism. They want corrupt capitalism, crony capitalism, the things that we talk about. Yeah. See, when we think about capitalism in its purest form, there's no cronyism, there's no, no corruption. We think about it as each individual being able to pursue what they want to. So on that note, thanks for that comment, Molly. And thank you so much, Brandy.
I would just like to ask people, I would just like to ask people that want to follow us. We do a lot of rallies and stuff. We're
Okay.
very patriotic, especially
Give
our
your
local group.
information.
Go follow us on Facebook, because I'm very illiterate when it comes to doing a website. Our website looks deplorablepride.org. It looks like a 5-year-old probably designed it. But
What's
I
the
don't trust,
Facebook page?
I don't trust anyone else to do anything for it. But follow us on Facebook. Our rallies and everything. We're
Is
very
the
controversial.
Facebook page the same? Is it Deplorable Pride
Deplorable
Yes.
Pride.
on Facebook?
And,
Yes,
and you're
ma'am.
also on are you on speed? Are
I'm
you
on.
on
We're also on Parlor, MeWe, and Gab.
okay.
Okay, under the
right.
same name,
Yes.
Deplorable Pride.
Deplorable
Okay.
Pride. Just
And I
look for
think
the ring.
your logo, is it
Yeah,
the elephant with the rainbow colors, so that you'll know that's what you are?
Yes,
Okay.
Rainbow Elephant.
Yes.
Okay.
So you'll know that's who it is, in case there's a lot of imposters out there. Brian, thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back on next week live. And Brian, you got to promise you'll come back.
Yes,
you're
Brian.
a joy.
Anytime you want me.
Thanks,
right,
everybody. We
Thank
will
you,
see.
everyone.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, Seeking Educational Excellence.
But we bring it straight to the head.
Well said with Kim and Vic. Thanks. See you
Bye.
guys.